Hello everybody, hello good people of the world. My name is Crys'Dawna. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you are not new here, welcome back friends and family. Today we are going to be doing a piece. This is a custom for my customer and we're going to do some blending with some blues. Hopefully we'll be able to do some wax. Sorry, Cannon's are here. Come here, Cannon. Come here, buddy. Cannon's walking around. This is my pups. Cannon is a puggle. Say hi. Don't be shy. Hi, everybody. So, we are going to be working on this piece right here. It's kind of like a little armoire. But we're going to be using a new paint that I have not used yet, and it is Nordic Chic. This is a paint out of Denmark. So there are lots of retailers all throughout Europe. They do have some retailers in the US and Australia. So she is looking to expand, but this is really good for my UK and Europe friends right now. You guys can get this from a local retailer. And I'm gonna put in the description below the website where it has the retailer locator. I'm gonna show you guys how to prep with this paint. We're going to blend with this paint. We're going to use wax. We're gonna seal it. I really like this paint. I also wanna show you guys how cute this little container is. So this is the new container that she is going towards. Her old container is the tin container, but she is starting to go towards these plastic ones, which I really, really like. So, all right, guys, I hope you guys enjoy this. We're ready. Let's rock and roll. If you guys want to see me blend on this piece, stay here. Tell them, come here. See, stay here, guys. Guys, stay here, guys.
First thing I did was remove all of the hardware. That way we can change the color later on and then we don't paint over it. So I carefully used a flathead screwdriver to go into the actual keyhole and pull up the space so that I could make the nails come loose. And then I carefully went under all the gaps and just used that leverage to pull it out. And then I took needle nose pliers and I pulled all the nails out that keep all of the hardware in. The handles are the same way, they are nailed in. The proper prep when you are using Nordic Chic paint is to first prep and clean. So this is a cleaner that is made with orange in it. And what you're going to do is you're going to spray it on the entire piece and you're going to let it sit for a few minutes, let it soak in so that way it can start doing its job and dissolving all the grease and all of the dirt and grime. And then once it's sat for a few minutes, I scrub off all of the cleaner and then I assess whether or not I need to go over it again. Now I'm going to show you something here in a second. This had the cleaner that dripped off of it was a little bit orangish brown, which tells me one, that it's dirty, even though it doesn't look dirty, but two, I will have problems with tannins when I paint this if I use lighter colors, which I am going to. So you can see how it was a little bit dirty right there. I'm gonna go over it one more time so that way I can get it really nice and clean. But this also tells me that for later on, I am going to need a primer. So I am cleaning the drawer again. Once I went through and cleaned the entire piece twice, I got some clean water and a clean rag and I am going to go over the entire piece to get any kind of residual cleaner off, and that way we can give it a really nice rinse before we go in with our primer. We're going to allow this to fully dry for about an hour and a half before we go in with our primer. So this primer is very unique. It is very thin, so you want to shake it really well before you use it. But I am going to transfer this over into a mixing cup, but you can see how thin it is. So when you apply it, make sure that you're watching out for any kind of drips. I take my paintbrush, which I'm using a Nordic Chic paintbrush, I dip it in the primer and then I wipe off as much as possible. So that way I am just doing really nice thin coats. But this primer is clear. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put one coat on. You're going to allow it to sit and dry for 12 hours. And then you want to go over it with a high grit sandpaper and you want to scuff sand it, and then you can do another coat. But right here you can see how well that cleaner had degreased and deglossed this piece, because when I put the primer on, it makes it richen the wood back up, but that cleaner, what it did is it really stripped a lot of that stuff off. This is something I always want you guys to be cognizant of. You see that pooling right there at the bottom? Make sure you're watching for that and just lightly take your paintbrush over that. That will help you get a really nice finish. You don't want pooling, you don't want drip, so always be aware of that. Now I'm taking a fine rad pad because it's been 12 hours and I'm just gonna scuff sand this entire piece. I'm gonna wipe it off with a damp microfiber cloth, wait for it to dry, and then I'm gonna apply my second coat of primer. Once my primer was fully dry, I waited a few hours and I went in with Dove's Tail, and I applied this 2 coats to the entire piece, so that way I had a really good base coat for when I went in and started doing my blending and layering. Before you start blending and layering, I want to tell you exactly what you need. So I'm going to use a fine mist mister bottle, and we're going to be using a few different colors. So this color right here is Whipped Cream by Nordic Chic. This one is called Lisbon Cobalt. And then this one's Dove's Tail, which is the base coat color. We're going to use a few different of the Nordic Chic brushes, and then she also has a blending brush that we're going to use. So the first thing I'm going to do is mist the area, and I am going to outline anywhere where I want some shading. I want you to kind of think about what we're doing is almost contouring like someone would contour their makeup. So we are going to put the Lisbon Cobalt on all the areas where we want shading, which for me generally is the outside of any door or any kind of crevice. Once I was done placing the darker color, I went in with Dove's Tail and I just lightly feathered over everywhere. And what I did is I started kind of just feathering those colors together. So I almost started blending them while I was overlapping all of those colors, because what we want to do is we don't want this to be quite as dark as it comes off right on the paintbrush. So we don't want the Lisbon Cobalt to be super dark. So we're taking the Dove's Tail and we're overlapping it so that way you still have the shading, but it's going to lighten it up and blend it in. Once you're done going over everything with the Dove's Tail, we're going to mist it and we're going to take that blending brush and we're going to lightly just start blending these colors together. Now, this paint is a chalk and clay based paint, so it's going to reconstitute or it's going to reactivate with water very nicely. And so it's going to blend really, really nice. You can also layer this really, really nicely, which I'm going to show you here in a little bit. But what I'm doing is just using a really light hand and making sure that there's moisture on the piece, and I am just blending all of these colors together. The process is exactly the same for the top as well, but I put less cobalt blue up there because I wanted it to be a little bit lighter on the top. Okay, so we are going to go in with the whipped cream and do some highlighting. So we're going to mist this spot and we're going to add the whipped cream anywhere where we think that we want some highlighting. So remember, we're thinking about contouring, although I don't even know how to put makeup on really. But that's just what I was thinking. It's kind of like contouring when you're putting on makeup. So I'm going to put the whipped cream in all the different areas and we're going to make a circle and we're going to blend that in. What we're going to do is we're going to mist it and then we're going to take our blending brush and we're going to mist it, or we're going to blend it in. Now there is a brush that you are seeing me smooth over with everything. That is a caddy brush and that is a natural bristle brush, and what that does is it just does a final smooth for everything. And so if you guys wanted to use one, you could just use a synthetic that mimics natural bristle brushes, and that will just kind of do one final smooth over. If you like those blended blues, you could leave them that way, but we are not done. So if you could see over to the right, that is lighter and the left is darker. So we are going to lighten this up just a little bit more, because what is going to happen, so we're adding the whipped cream on here again, and we're going to lighten it up one more time. But what's going to happen is when we go to distress and we go to add our top coat, it is going to show those layers underneath. So it's still going to be slightly blended, just kind of a light blend. But when we distress, we're going to see the colors underneath, and we're also going to see the colors really come out once we top coat it. So I put the whipped cream everywhere, and now I am just blending it in so that we can use that highlighting again one more time. And then what I'm going to do to really lighten everything up, so that I'm going to take, what I want to do is take some of the blue away, and we want it to be not quite so blue. And so I'm going to take the dove's tail and I am going to just kind of do a dry brush over the entire thing with dove's tail after I mist it. And that way we can really just kind of add one more layer of dimension and we can lighten everything up. Okay, so my client does not like the color of the golden oak, and hence why we're painting this. And I am going to strip the top down with my 3x4 electric ray. I am taking an 80 grit sandpaper and I am just stripping the top of this down. I will take a 120 grit after this to smooth it out and just get any residual stain off, but we are going to be staining this darker. So Nordic Chic has water-based stains and we are going to use their dark stain, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a chip brush and we're going to just put that on top and wipe it with a microfiber cloth, and it is going to stain really nicely.
I'm used to give all I have. I'm used to get nothing back. Wherever I go, it's the same. There's no excuses, no one to blame. Sometimes I can understand how it can be so hard to stay out of pain. But with you, everything has changed. Even though we both stay the same. Would you call me on the midnight train? Would you come over when nothing's right? Would you hold me tight in the rain? Even as we're having a fight. Say you, say you. I'm used to give up 100 times. It's never been worth it. But now there is so much to say.
While we're waiting for the stain to dry, I'm going to take my 3x4 electric ray that has a vacuum attachment, so don't worry, it's not going to get dust anywhere. This is a 10 millimeter pad, and this is a super fine pad, and what I'm doing is I am now exposing the layers that I had talked to you about, and we are slightly distressing this. So I just use a light hand when I do this. I don't want to over distress, but we want to make it look natural. So now that this is dry, it's been a few hours, we are going to go in with Nordic Chic's top coat. I pour it on a paper plate, and then they have the green sponges that we can use to apply the top coat. So I'm just going to evenly put it on there, wipe the rest off, and try to put that sponge evenly on the top and just wipe and apply the top coat. I am now using a brush to apply the top coat on the rest of the piece. I wanted to seal this with the top coat, and I will be going in with a white wax, but this paint needs to be sealed, and so that's what I chose to do, was seal it with the top coat. And you can see how it richens the colors. Once you put the top coat on there, it really just deepens and richens the colors. You can really see it on the drawer that I'm about to show you. Once my top coat was completely dry, I went in with Nordic Chic's white wax, and I went into all the details so that way I could just make them pop a little bit more. You can use this wax over paint without the top coat, but I needed to make sure that everything was sealed. So again, this paint needs to be sealed, so I wanted to make sure I did a top coat over everything so it was sealed, and then I went in and did my accents with the white wax. I cleaned my hardware really well, and then what I did is I took Prima's Alchemy waxes, and we're using brushed iron to change the color of the handles. My client wants brushed iron versus this bronze color, so that's what we're going to do. This is an oil-based wax, and it will take a few days to cure, but once it does, it's going to be self-sealing, so you can see how it changed it right there. I also took Old Silver Alchemy wax, and I'm just lightly going over all of those areas that we did the white wax, just to add a little bit more dimension. The last part of this was to add a little pop of character, and I'm using Redesign with Prima's Decor transfers and Artisinal tile. Now these are their transfers that are a little bit smaller, and so what I'm using is I'm cutting off the border on one of them because I want to be able to reuse that. But I just think it's going to add just a really nice pop of color and character on here. So I am removing the protective backing from the plastic. But what I just realized is that I needed to trim the front a little bit more. So please make sure that you trim this before you do this, because you could risk it overlapping and then the adhesive would stick and then your transfer would be ruined. So I was very careful when I did this. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it down where I want it to go, and I'm going to burnish or rub over it with my hand first so that I know that it is in place. Then I have a burnishing stick, and I'm going to use that as well. But what I did is I took also a razor and I trimmed the sides down so that way they would just be gone, because I don't want them to overlap on the drawers. So I cut them off, and then I continued to burnish everything down. And then what I did after I pulled everything off was I took a microfiber cloth and I burnished it one more time with that. And then I sealed it with Nordic Chic's top coat. You have to seal your transfers so that they will stay for a long time.
All right, everybody, this piece is done. You can see the little sides here. Oh, maybe you can't. You'll see it in the pictures. Anyways, guys, this piece is done. This video is done. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Remember, in the description below, I'm going to put the site where you can find your Nordic Chic retailers. They are all over the world. So you guys check out the description below for that link. Until then, I hope you guys have an amazing day. I hope you enjoyed this. This is a really great, it is a chalk and clay based paint. It is really great for blending, layering, artistic finishes. I really enjoy it. And just remember, guys, that I always try to share with you guys paints that I really enjoy. So this is one of them. So make sure you guys check out Nordic Chic, and until then, I'll have some good staged pictures on here in a second. Stay on so you can see them. See you next time.
Dry. Do you know I'm looking, and I can't help but smile? Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on, I put my feet up, and we just sing along, and I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know?